What's up, Nitwits? Dom here, and with me as always, Joe.
Hey, Nitwits.
And we are here with another Nitwit game review for Grounded. A game that's described as the world is vast, beautiful, and dangerous place, especially when you have been shrunken to the size of an ant. Can you thrive alongside the hordes of giant insects, fighting to survive the perils of the backyard? Joe, I for one want to start this off just by saying we have put in over 600 hours together into this game.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is by far our most played game.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games that we've just played to relax and mess around with. But with Grounded, there is good, there is bad, and there is the ugly. Can you get us started with the good?
Yeah, so what I'll start with is this is an amazing concept. I think you and I can both agree when we saw this game, we thought the concept was amazing, but we went in with lower expectations because we didn't know what to expect, right?
Yeah, 100. That is the truest statement of all. We thought this was like we only gave this game a shot because it was on Game Pass.
Our shameless plug.
Always.
Hey, Phil Spencer, Xbox sponsor us. Joking. We like to keep our opinions not segregated. Segregated. not swayed. A certain
biased.
Yes, not biased. That's oh my god, I can't think of the word. But yeah, I mean, a really cool concept. We saw it. We were like, hey, we got Game Pass. Why not give it a try? And I will say I am very, very happy we did. We saw this and we were like, hey, Honey, You Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, this has to be pretty cool. And it's just like that, really. It really is. So just a few points that stick out right away for me when I think about the pros to this game are the base building. I love it. I think the base building is done immaculately. I don't think there's not much you can change about it. Now the decorations are a different story, but I'm just talking about building the base in general. So I do like the way the items look. So graphically, the game is beautiful. The base building element is nice. It's just overall a fantastic survival game. The creatures, aka the bugs, look realistic, which is really cool. If you have any phobias, like spiders, for example, they have like a what is it called? A filter that you can turn on where it just turns them into like a smiley face with legs. I don't know, but realistically, I'm sorry.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I just overall the creatures are amazing that you're fighting, that you're engaging with. The base building is great. It just feels like an overall good survival game. I think that the voice acting was really good for the kids. Really good. They needed to add more lines, but overall the voice acting was really good. I mean, I felt immersed in the world, and I really do enjoy the majority of the mechanics with the game. In the plus side about this too, I guess it's kind of a bad thing, but there are a lot of bugs in the game. Pun intended, because you get to kill them.
Gosh.
You see what I did there?
That's what you did there.
Yeah, but overall, I think there's a lot to love about it. I think the other piece to the armor, like getting armor upgrading, it kind of gives you a pathway of what you're looking to do. You want to slay multiple different types of creatures, spiders, moths. It's
a grind fest game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, overall, I think it hit a lot of the nails right on the head. So for me, overall, I enjoyed it. I really did. What are some highlights of yours?
I mean, I think you touched. I think the base building is one of the best concepts or best things this game does. It really dominates that. I think it's amazing. The armor that you can build. I like the weapons, the variety. I think the weapons are well versed. I wish sometimes the weapons, I think it can be a lot of it's real complicated at first, but I think once you start learning to understand the game, I feel a lot of it gets a lot easier. It's with little things like that. my favorite thing about the game in general, though, is when we were playing together, there were multiple points where I could just go and do the story, and you could just build. So it really felt like we were playing the same game, but we could play separate and do different things. Like, it was never like, well, if we don't hit this point in the story, then we can't build. Or, if we don't do this right here in this section, then we can't do anything. I mean, we have bases everywhere. We have multiple structures we've built. I mean, we built basketball courts for fun. So I think there's a lot that you can do in this game, which makes it fun and makes the game, like, just keep going and going and going and going. And the aspect of it's all based on your creativity. So I enjoy that aspect of the game. I think the bugs are a lot of fun. It's cool seeing them for the first time and fighting them for the first time. It's annoying after the 50th time when, you look at me the wrong way. But, that's all part of it. I really do enjoy this game. I want to see what the future holds. Part of what I'm worried about, what's the next steps. But I love this game. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think just one other piece to point out too is the engaging storyline, and I bring it up because a lot of people could look at that as being a bad thing in regards to the storyline because it was kind of cliche. But one thing to keep in mind with these type of games is that these survival games do not really have typically a good story, and I do think that Grounded did do very well on the storyline. I really do. I thought it was very good for a survival game. And anyone that's a survival, just I guess, a lover, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love that addition. And then the quest system too. I really enjoyed that piece of it. I loved how you got these quests, auto accepted, whatever. They were very easy to track, easy to do. To collect your raw science points. So I think
it's kind of how you level up everything.
Yeah, I mean,
or unlock more things.
Yeah, yes. So overall, I think the devs did a good job in the sense of you don't really feel lost in the world. You have a general idea of what you need to do, right? When you kind of get there. In some survival games, I'm not saying they hold your hand in this. I mean, they do to some extent, but I do feel like some survival horror games can be very intimidating when you join because you just don't know what to do. And you can say, "Well, survive, you moron," but but there's more than that. Than just surviving in these survival games because there typically is a ground story. It's just not very compelling. And in this one, I thought it was very compelling, and I feel like we wanted to know who the bad guy was, and wanted to keep playing.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing too is most survival games are kind of like Green Hell. If anyone's played that, where they just plop you out and it's kind of like, well, good luck. And I feel Grounded really does do a good job just slowly introducing you to things. The more in-depth things you kind of learn on your own, or you just learn by messing around. I mean, we built elevators. I've just been fun and inventive. But I will switch to some of the bad that I will say this game has. When you play the game for the first time you're going through and you're fighting different bugs and all this is a lot of fun, but once you've been playing for so long, you realize it's the same bugs over and over and over and over and over again. That was one of my biggest gripes. I would love for them to add more, especially coming from, now that it is fully launched 1.0 and everything. I thought we were going to get a lot more literal additions, especially the fact that early testing, there are a lot of different types of bugs that now we're just cut in general. A lot of bosses. There are, I guess, 2 repeatable bosses and then one other boss in the game. It's spoiler alert, I guess, in a way, if you haven't made it that far. But, you kind of wish there was more. And, we know that the Ant Queen and the Lizard both were cut. We've seen pictures of the Lizard that were ready. And unfortunately, just didn't make it in the game somehow. And I think that hurts in a way because it's like, man, it just would have been a little extra that made this game even better.
Can I just say something? When your voice cracked, it sounded like you're about to bust out crying.
It really does hurt, man. It hurts.
You say, and it really
You know, but it's funny though, man, because like think about it though, if we had another boss to grind, wow, that sounds horrible too. But more armor to get more different. It would make the game even more playable, and we now are living on just building the most ridiculous things we can think of, and that's what makes this game even better. But it's just weird. Like we beat it, the story was great, and then all of a sudden, like you hit a certain point in the story, and it's like, oh, okay, it's over.
Yeah,
it's very poorly paced. There's a lot of things too where you unlock stuff, but they don't really have any real purpose yet. So it feels like the game is still missing one or two pieces. For especially, that's what makes me excited for the future. But as of right now, I love the game, but I feel it's not necessarily complete. The story is finished, but I feel like with adding of sour and adding of the different elements, they don't really do that much. Where it was like, oh well, we needed to have this why, or they made a big deal of the castle. Was a huge thing, and then it was like I kind of visited it like one time, did what I had to do there, and left. I thought there'd be a cool like epic boss fight, you know, like in the castle.
Okay, yeah, I agree, and I guess there's nothing I would really add to the negative piece for me. Some of the things you actually mentioned I feel are ugly, like the lack of bosses, right?
Yeah,
that bothers me so bad because you only have a couple bosses to fight in a game like this, and not many enemies that are very diverse.
Yeah,
it becomes very underwhelming, right? It's just not as enjoyable. So again, my favorite element right now is just base building, and it's no longer the bugs. Versus, I remember when we first started playing, you know, we would walk around and oh my god, what is that? Oh my, what is this? And we'd see a new bug, and we were so excited and scared. And now it's just like, huh, you can't even touch me. And like you can pretty much slay any bug pretty quickly. And obviously that happens when you get better armor, better weapons, no shit. But I'm just saying that it's come down to where there's no more excitement anymore. And you could really, in all reality, you could probably experience everything in like 15 hours. Yeah. It's just, you know, we took the time to build this massive base. And when I say massive base, it's a damn city. And yeah, if we didn't do that, let's be real, this game, we would have been done a long time ago. The other thing too, I'm kind of mad that they stayed in early access as long as they did. And I know there's going to be a few people that will say, well, that's stupid. You should be happy they were in early access because that means the game perfect. Well, 1.0 came out and the game was not perfect. There's still a lot of bugs, and pun intended, but there still were actually a lot of bugs. And I didn't feel like they added too much. I feel like the upper yard was rushed. I don't feel like there, again, not enough bosses. Just to your point, Dom, with Thor's Lizard. Where is it? Leeches were in the game at one point, if I'm not mistaken. They're not being ever added back. Why don't we have household centipede? I mean, normal centipedes in your yard, cockroach. There's so many bugs you could have added to this game that make this more realistic, like what you would actually find in your backyard, that just aren't there. And that's just such a turn off for me. And I was really excited to see that. And one thing to keep in mind too is that they have competition coming. You know, Small Land's going to be coming out sooner than later, and I understand it's a little bit different of a style of the game, but it's the same concept with bugs and so forth. And they already have drastically more enemies and bosses, and that game is going to be coming out in early access. So I just hope that Grounded is able to add a ton more content you know, within the next few months. But I just feel like these next few months are going to be them polishing the game, which I think that's what early access was for.
No, I think that's my ugly of this game right now is what's the future really hold. They've scrapped a lot of things. We're kind of waiting on hearing what's the next steps. They do come out with patches. They haven't like left the game to die or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But you kind of just sit there and think like, if it wasn't for us like just wanting to build like a massive castle, we would just walk away from this game and wait for the next update to come out, and that'd be it. Like we're done with it now. And I think not knowing what this game really has coming because everything's cleared from it. I mean, they said they scrapped those ideas, but it's like, man, how do you scrap a boss fight? You know, what was the purpose? So I think with this, the ugly is what does the future really hold? And I also do want to say, we're very critical of this game because we love this game so much. It's something that I think we both care about. We want to see this game do great. We've been playing it for over a year now. It's a lot of fun. It's something that we're like, hey, why aren't there mounts yet? Why aren't there this yet? Why don't we have this yet? And it's just, we're critical of it because we love it so much and we want this game to succeed. But man, there are some things where we're just scratching our heads the more and more we play this game.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that is definitely the ugly. The other part, too, I want to add in ugly, is that you have to have an Xbox Live subscription, or just in general. Because if you buy it even on Steam, you have to download the Xbox app and launch it through Xbox. You don't have to have Xbox Live specifically, but you have to have the app. And I think that's, forcing you into their ecosystem. And if you're somebody that doesn't want to get into their ecosystem, that can be a turnoff.
Yeah.
A lot of games do it, but I just don't typically agree with that. As much as I love Xbox, and don't get me wrong, I just don't think you should ever be forced upon that. And going back to the whole content piece too, one thing I wanted to mention is I really, really wish that they added more voice lines for the characters.
Oh yeah,
they're very well voiced. I mean, very well voice acted, and the lines that they have are great, but they need more. You just hear the same thing over and over again. And I wouldn't be with the 1.0 launch. I was hoping that they would have dropped more characters, and some type of progression system. And that's a con of mine, specifically because you're out here. They have a D&D thing going on here, right? And I would have loved to have an overall player level, base level, or something that you really work towards. Because I think of any game I play, when it comes down to a leveling system, I am so focused on that overall number. I want it to continue to go up. So I keep playing just specifically for that, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't have that, it kind of sucks. I don't feel like it doesn't have much player progression in that sense. You could argue, get on ranking up the armor, the weapons, whatever. But an overall count character level or something, I like that. And even Fortnite has one. Has an overall count level. And I check mine. I'd love to see it grow. And
yeah,
I just wish they added something very similar to that. And especially with D&D being a part of the game, if you will, or some influence. I do wish they added something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing in that sense. And in exactly like Dom said, we're very critical because we do love the game. The game is, again, over 600 hours put into the game, and that should say enough. We constantly grind it. We're still playing it today, and we keep going back to it to continue working on our base. And we'll spend 6-7 hours playing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like in one day, and just be like, well, man, we just built more to the base. This looks amazing. And it is an addiction grind, which is really fun. Sorry about my dog. But overall, again, a really, really fun game. I would highly recommend playing with friends. You can play solo. It's still fun. Don't let anyone tell you that this isn't a solo player game, because you can definitely play the solo and have fun.
Yeah.
Do it. Dom does it.
No doubt.
But it is more fun with friends. Absolutely. I think everything is, though.
Mm-hmm. That's part of gaming. But I mean, I think overall, where we view this game, its strengths and weaknesses, its weaknesses. I think it's a solid.
You made fun of me at the beginning. Now it was your turn.
Sorry to bug you, Joe.
Love it.
Puns. But no, I would rate this game, the Nitwits, as an 8. We love it. We played a lot, obviously, over 600 hours into this game. It's an amazing game. Highly recommend. Test it out. Survival, building, everything you want in a game. Longevity, though, outside of once you complete everything, that's when it starts getting tricky. But if you love the grind, the build, and just let your imagination run wild, it's the perfect game for you.
Yeah, and I think an 8 is a fair assessment. And one thing to add too, I think that we should discuss is how could this game get to a 9, right? And it's just very simple. Add more content. And that's what it's lacking. And that's what it's... And I know this is a grounded review, but I feel like these last 2, 3, 4 years of some games in general, they've all been lacking content. We got a lot of good games, but they lack content. And that is definitely the problem here. If they continue to add content and they're doing it really quickly, this could easily bump up to a 9 overall. And working on the bugs that are in the game. There's not too many, I will say. You do run into a few, but nothing game breaking. But yeah, I think an 8 is a fair assessment. Absolutely.
But Nitwits, that is our breakdown of Grounded. One of our favorite games, our most played game, and a game we will continue to keep playing. We love it. Thank you for joining. As always, like and subscribe. And Joe, take it away.
Peace, love, and chicken grease.